Now let's play a little bit with the microsolvers. So what is the microsolvers and how we can apply them to our simulation? And if you go here and press tab and find the microsolvers, and there is a huge list of different solvers. So we can apply them like in forces, different kind of forces for your simulation. And you can find here some already interesting names like dissipate, so we can work with the dissipation. Or we can try to find the turbulence. So yeah, we have turbulence. We have viscosity, we have the substeps, we have the rest, we have the limits, lookup, diffuse, damp, blur. So there's a lot of different stuff we can apply to our simulation. And many of those we can use like from this tab. So we can work with the dissipation. We can add a confinement, we can add shredding, disturbance, turbulence, so anything from here. And the reason why I prefer to use the multi-solar and this stuff, because yeah, there's a lot more than here, but mainly when we create simulation, we work with like a disturbance. If I want to play with the smoke, I like to use a confinement, disturbance with the fire, shredding, sharpening, turbulence can apply to both simulations. So many different setup you can use in the shape. All right, but those microsolvers sometimes can help us to apply 2 or more microsolvers to one simulation. We can't do this inside of my shape. So if I want to apply a 2 disturbance with different settings, different cutoff, maybe with a different block size, with a different disturbance amount. So I can do this just with microsolver. I can't add a 2 disturbance here on the shape tab. So how I can add this microsolver? So let's play with the disturbance for a moment. Let's add a gas disturbance. And yeah, before I do that, I can go dissipation. I change it to 001. So it's very, very low. As I said, I don't like to, to set some values like a 0 or 1. So if you want to have a small dissipation, just paste a huge number of zeros here and 1 in the end. And I connect this gas disturbance to the third connection. It's called velocity update. So it's like a velocity, like a force we can apply to simulation. And go to disturbance field. We can see 4 different tabs. And well, here just an OpenCL. If you want to apply it again, it's a very useful option if you have those. If you have a nice video card with powerful OpenCL. Now we can disturbance settings here, so we can the disturbance infect. So it's like a scale, like we have here. We have a cutoff, we have the block size, and we have a control settings, the same stuff, and bindings. So in bindings we can find a nice field. So it's disturb field. As you know, by default we work with velocity. So field to disturb by default inside of pyrosolver is velocity. But inside of gas disturbance, we have a temperature by default. So there's a little bit difference between this and this. So if I choose accept the temperature velocity, and I can tap here, disturb field is vector field. So we understand that this field is vector because temperature is a float field and velocity is a vector. So we need to say that, okay, our field is vector. But with this, we can go dive inside of our gas disturbance node to fix something and or to change. In fact, it's not a fix, it's some additional change here, and you can see, you can saw this tactic, this method in many lessons. I show it like 2 or 3 times on internet, different trainings and lessons. So we can go to a low edit of content and go inside of gas disturb node. And we can find a disturb vector field. As you know, we change it to the vector field. So we go into the second node, which is vector field. And by default, we have a selected node called control field. And by default, this control field is float, and it's going into if statement as a float number. So if you want to use this not like a float, like a vector, because we use a velocity, we can change it to vector. But now we have a vector input, except of the float. So we can easily convert this using the length node, which can easily take a velocity and calculate the length of this velocity, like a speed, and paste it here. So now I want to add 2 gas disturbance nodes. So one is, we can set here we'll have the block size like 0.3 by default. And we'll set a disturbance like 0.75, okay, on null key. And somewhere maybe on frame with 72, so it's already have a huge path, so like 4 frames. And so not 4 frames, 3 seconds, sorry, 1, 2, 3 seconds. And let's back it to like 0.25. Because I don't want to have a large disturbance on this stage when we have a lot of smoke, so I can reduce this disturbance. And I want to copy that to add another one. I remove this stuff and make a block size like 0.1 and the disturbance 0.12. So it's going to be like a very small disturbance with a small influence and with a small size. Now let's merge this into one path, and I want to add a confinement. So gas confinement, where are you? Gas vortex confinement. That's fine. So I want to add confinement for my simulation. Is creating nice, as I told you, is try to help our small vorticities to be in the place, because we will blur out our simulation. The bigger distance our smoke is going, the more blurry it will be. So it's help us to keep those vorticities. All right, and you can see there's a lot of detail here in the smoke, and I want to keep those details. Cool. So that's what I have for my sim, and I get that I don't want to get a lot of turbulence. You can see in this smoke or in this smoke, when we already create the smoke pump, it doesn't have too many turbulence, okay? So basically we need to add a disturbance, and we have some turbulence over there because we have some velocity difference, we have expansion here. So I can think that it will help us to get a nice result even with this setup. So go to smoke object and change it to 0.1. And what I want to do, I want to fix my container size. So for my default simulation, it should be fine, because I don't know how long will be the smoke, so will be enough to fill my view and other things. So if you go to camera, you can see that it's filling with view. And the thing is, I want to create a container which will finish over here. We have a right side over here. I don't want to have a container somewhere outside of my camera view, because I just spend a lot of resources for that, and it will be not too helpful. So what I want to do, I want to create a container just on this side. So I call the Control Shift and remove my expression. So I just show you how to use this. And in many cases, we can use this preset to help us to in start position for my simulation, or we can keep it if we don't need to, limit my container. In my case, I want to make a limitation, so let's take just a while and you can see how it works. And we're back again. I make some changes here. So now you can see that I limit my container over here. Yeah, so we don't have too many space out of my camera view. And in fact, I don't want to have too many smoke here because I can't see them from the right side. All right. So now in the beginning of simulation, we can see how many voxels do we have, like 9 million voxels at this stage. We can now play a little bit with the settings for the smoke object and increase or decrease the division size to get a more interesting result. But before we do that, let me show how to cache this information.